Hello and welcome. Welcome to Small Things Brought Together. My name is Robin Love, and Small Things Brought Together is an ongoing series of conversations with artists and others about their creative process. So Small Things Brought Together is also in long format. So we take our time, we circle back, we have moments of silence, we can change our mind, and we can make a new decision. So we really take our time in getting, really digging into the creative process beyond the quick soundbite. Today's episode, I have with me Jackie Battenfield. Jackie is a painter based in Brooklyn, New York. She's also a teacher and a writer. She is the author of a book called The Artist's Guide: How to Make a Living Doing What You Love. That was published in 2009. She's also was the longtime leader of a program at the Bronx Museum of the Arts called Artist in the Marketplace, and subsequently also worked teaching at Columbia University in a similar role, which I hope to hear more about. And currently, it is September 2023. Jackie has a solo exhibition at Addison Ripley Fine Art in Washington, D.C. called Shimmer. So I'm hopeful we'll get to see some of that today as well. So welcome, Jackie. Welcome. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that intro? Welcome.
Oh, no, I think that you've pretty much covered it. Thank you, Robin.
Yeah, so it's so exciting to see you because, I actually think the last time I saw you was when you were working on your book. So that's how long ago it was.
Oh my God, I thought that would never get done. But now it's hard to believe that it's, 14 years ago, it's funny. But yeah, that was a real mission for me. It was, as you said, I led the AIM program at the Bronx Museum for, I don't know, 18 years, long time. Who at my age, who thinks years anymore? Decades, it felt like. Which it was, what an incredible opportunity that I had each year to work with 36, 18 at a time, really gifted artists like yourself, like others. And we sat down and we talked artist to artist about how to manage a life, how to go out and find opportunity, how to present yourself in a professional manner. And I had to learn so much myself, and I also learned so much from my artists in that program. And being an artist, I've been self-employed since forever, since 1989. I never had a tenure track teaching job. I had I'm married to another artist, a painter. There's no family money. It was just us. And the day-to-day struggles and triumphs of an artist was what we discussed. And I learned that I had a way of speaking heart to heart, face to face, also, tough love with artists. And I figured out how to talk about all those things that we find so mysterious. We don't know what the secret is. And let's start from the beginning. No, there are no secrets. There's no secret path to a successful career or anything. It's a lot of dogged determination and, some of it a little bit of luck. But I also kind of believe you kind of make your luck. So that was great. And at one point, and I had a painting practice. I lived off both of my husband and I, we lived off our painting practices. And I don't know, my paintings, I got bored with what I was doing. I don't know, I didn't have much enthusiasm. And that's when I decided to take this 180-degree turn and sit down and write down all the stuff we talked about in AIM. And to, again, pitch it as me, like we were in the program, me talking to you, to an individual artist, and talking you through whatever it is that you were dealing with. And that was hard. It was easy. I don't think I cried so much in my life as I did trying to write the book. And the whole thing, it took 5 years from, beginning to, public date of publication. That was a long, of course, I thought it would take 2. Big projects always take longer than you expect, and you're so exhausted at the end, but I'm very proud of it. And and the whole time I was writing the book, my husband, I never let him see anything I was writing. I had an editor that I took things to. She helped me. I cried a lot in front of her too. But I guess the best review I got of the book is that it was all in, draft. It was all in draft copy. I just submitted it to my publisher, and it was like this huge manuscript. And I sat it in front of my husband, and I said, "Okay, you're in this book, so I want you to read it, and you let me know how you feel about it, because you're more important to me than any book." And then I ran off to teach a class at Columbia. Right? I came back, and he was sitting on our sofa, and he was tearing up, and he looked at this, and he said, "I can't believe what you've done here. This is so," it was like, oh my God, my first reader, to me, my most important. And then there were a few things we argued about that he wanted taken out of the book. Some I did and some I didn't. Anyway, that's it. That's the book. I've not done a revised version because, except for social media, which at the moment you do anything with social media, it's also old. Everything applies. So just, if you read the book, cut out the pages on social media, go from there.
Yeah.
Because you probably know more about social media than I do. Anyway.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I was actually thinking about like, oh, I wonder if you'd ever do it. And then I basically came to the same conclusion, like, well, what's really changed? Nothing except for social media stuff. Yeah.
Right. Because it's still the same stuff.
Yeah, same problems. Yeah. Well, before we started, I had said, I do carry within me a couple of, more than a couple, but a couple very prominent things that came out of my experience being an artist in the marketplace, which is how we met. And one certainly was the fact that you yourself, as a practicing artist, supported yourself and continue to support yourself with your work, was just, I think it just made, it took this sort of felt like a fantasy and made it real and made it feel like, okay, this isn't just like pie in the sky. This isn't like you have to be a millionaire or trust fund baby. Like, it can actually work. And something you said, and we visited an artist in her studio who is also named Jackie Bruckner, who has since away.
I know. Oh, Jackie Bruckner. I knew. Yes.
Yeah. So
that was sad.
Yeah. Wonderful artist and a wonderful person, to separate her humanity from her artist, being an artist. But yeah, so you both said it in the same thing, but in a different way. But the sort of takeaway that I've kept in my mind, I think from you, it was like, you can have New York City, I'll have the rest of the country. So at a certain point, you were like, you know what, New York is too complicated. I'm going to go everywhere else. That was a great one. And then Jackie Bruckner talking about like in her own practice of like, she wanted to do projects and not have like discrete objects that you would present in a gallery. She wanted to make work that was project driven.
Right.
And so that actually gave her the freedom to just push the whole gallery thing over to the side and focus all her energy, like, well, how do I get a project come into being? How do I make it happen? And for me, that just so landed, because it was like, yeah, I don't really make objects. I want to have. And so I was able to, it was like such a relief to just be like, oh, I don't need to worry about all this gallery stuff and how do I da la la la. It was like, no, no, no. And to have that like focus of energy was so the most helpful thing in the world. Yeah.
You know, that's true. I think that one of the ways of maturing as an artist is to find, well, where is the passion? Where do I feel I'm going with this? I'm an object maker. I mean, I love making things. I can't help myself. And the minute they're made, I want them gone. You know, my goal in life is that to die and everything sold, all gone. Because I don't hang on. I don't feel like, and so I, you know, if I do a project, it's all about a series of works, but really, I am not a project-based artist. When I worked with the Creative Capital artists, those are all project-based artists. It's like writing a book. It's many years. It's lots of different iterations. It's lots of fundraising. It's all those things. And I think as we mature as an artist, we have to make a decision. Okay, so where, first of all, this life is too hard to accept to be making work that you love. You got to start there. Where is that? Find it. And you don't know at once. I mean, I came out of graduate school making projects. Everybody does. Eventually I stopped. Then to look seriously, to get out of your way and say, so where would this work belong? Does this, you know, where is that? Is that public art projects? Is that major permanent commissions? Is that, you know, is that nonprofit, you know, project rooms? Is it within the community? Is it, you know, I don't know where that is. You have to find it. And you have to be honest with yourself about that. And so then you concentrate your energy there and not everywhere, because you can't be everywhere. And even every artist that makes objects isn't necessarily going to find a big market for that. So then again, who is most interested in your work? And then everything about your promotional materials, your website has to be geared, and your social media has to be geared to that goal.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad Jackie said that, because it's true. And I'm glad it really made that such a difference for you.
For sure. And you know, in talking to artists, which I continue obviously to do to this day, I really yeah, I feel like it has to be repeated over and over, you know. even myself, I was all just in the last year or so getting all like bent out of shape, and I have a friend and she's like, they're not your audience. Why are you wasting
Oh, I
your time?
love that.
And it was like, yes, I think I've heard that before.
Yes. I mean, it wasn't something we talked about so much in AIM, but when I worked with Creative Capital and when I would work with my Columbia grad students, that came up. Who is your audience? And your audience may not be New York City. That's why when I went looking for an audience, I said, nobody in New York City really loves what I do. So like, I'm not going to go boo-hoo about this. I know there's people out there that will like this, and I'm going to go find them. And that's actually how I ended up with Addison Ripley.
Yeah. Well, I do like, I mean, we could talk about this for an hour for sure, but I want to actually look at your work because, you know, I do feel like a lot of people know you in that role of like artist mentor, career mentor, helping with this part of that aspect of being an artist. But let's talk about your work. So you've been with them for a long time, this gallery. I mean, your work has
They've
not
been
stood
very,
still. You know, you've been evolving. Yeah.
I mean, to have a long-term partner like that, that you trust and that and doesn't go out of business, which is the biggest problem with galleries. Most galleries barely survive their lease. But yeah, no, I've been actively showing with them since I just looked it up, 93. That's a long time. And I found them, again, it's like the opening to my book. When I left, I had been running a nonprofit space in Brooklyn called Rotunda Gallery. And after 9 years of that, I realized that anything has got to be easier than like raising money every year for this space. It gets bigger and bigger and harder and harder. And plus my heart wasn't in it anymore. The energy level, you've been in a job too long when everything about that job makes you tired and you have a closet full of clothes you don't want to wear. So that means change. And I was pregnant with our second child, and I wanted to be home with that baby. So I quit my job. The thing I learned about running the gallery, and I think what a lot of artists don't think about, I learned planning. I learned that you have to have some goals, you have to have some long-term goals, you have to break them down into short-term goals to where you actually know what you need to do that month. I'm not talking about the art necessarily. I'm talking about in terms of the parts of your career, what you need to do that month, who you need to talk to, how, and it gets you focused. So I wrote a goal that I was going to be making a living from my studio practice in 5 years' time. In the meantime, I was going to do a little adjunct teaching. I was going to just we were eke by to get things going. Had the baby. That's when I decided, big world out there. There's got to be people interested in my work that's not in New York City. And I had to go to a board meeting in Washington, D.C. for a really wonderful organization, which is no longer exists because it was too hard for us to keep it together. The Artists Association of, no, wait, the National Association of Artist Organizations. So those were artist-run organizations. It was NAO. It was wonderful. We had, anyway, long story short, no longer exists. But I had to go to a board meeting in Washington, D.C. And I said, all right, so I have to go to this board meeting. I might as well try to get some appointments with people there. This is before Al Gore invented the internet. I had to do it like through the mail. It's like, I feel like it's like Pony Express time. It's like saddle up the horse with these slides, with the bad slides.
Oh God, the slides, having PTSD.
So many conversations about good slides, bad slides. I mean, that still applies actually, only they're now digital and it's easier to fix them. But in any case, and I managed to get that's a longer story, got a couple appointments. By that time, my baby, I had a baby. I had a 5-year-old. I had this baby. I put the baby in a pouch. I had a little painting under my arm and a backpack full of disposable diapers. And luckily, I was nursing. I went to Washington, D.C. I went to the board meeting and I went to these appointments. And one of those appointments was with Christopher Addison at the Addison Ripley Gallery. And we had this lovely conversation. I put the painting on the windowsill. Baby slept through the whole thing. And the thing is that when you have a goal, it's amazing how people see that in you. It's like he did not look at me and say, young mother, I wonder if she's going to continue painting, because he sensed that in me. But it's not like he said, oh, hello, I'm going to put you in a show. He said, keep in touch. Can I tell you how many artists stop at that point? They don't keep in touch. If you just follow up. I used to tell when I was teaching, to adult students, I'd say, look, go back through your resume and look at all the times when you could have followed up. follow up now. I don't care if it's 5 years later. Just say, hi, I've got new work. Somebody was interested in you at one time. So like, open up that door again. Anyway, I followed up. I, sent him more images, 6 months later, another 6 months, he put me in a group show. The fall, by 1993, I had my first solo show with them. And they've been good partners ever since. So I feel very lucky. I've had some very, very good partnerships with galleries. And but I also have been a very good partner to them. When they need something, they get it.
Mm-hmm.
When they have a question, it gets answered, So a partnership goes both ways. And that's how it works.
So could I ask?
So now yeah.
Can I ask you, well, one thing that comes to mind is I was on like a Zoom call with someone sort of on a similar topic, and the person said, go through your resume and just make a note of how all those opportunities happened. And she had like a color-coded thing. And basically, and I was sort of like, in her resume, and I could imagine mine was like personal connection.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was one of these light bulb moments. But I guess I wonder, we're like in the realm of creative process. Do you actually consider this thing of being a good partner to your gallery? Does that come into your sense of yourself as a creative being? Is it part of your creative process, or no? You really like business, art.
That's it. No, it does not come into. It's just that when I help them take care of my work. I help them sell my work by providing them with great images, in a timely fashion. I provide high res, low res, whatever you need, right now, because I work with a lot of different people across the world. I hate to say that, basically in the United States. Like on my website is set up so that work that is available directly from my studio, it's not at any of my galleries, it's not consigned to anybody, is shown on my website. So I've trained my people to know that if somebody comes in, they say, well, I love this, but I need something a little smaller, a little bigger, a little this, a little that, a little pinker. I don't know, whatever they want. I don't really care. They can go and they can pull an image off, or they can show other images of the work. So, I mean, there's ways that you do this, that you become a good partner, but it has nothing to do with what I paint. I just paint. I mean, I just paint for me, and my work is radically. You look at all my different shows at Addison Ripley, except for the last 3 shows. 1, 2, 3, 4 shows. I had very different works on paper for one show. I had paintings in another one that were non-objective. Really, it's they've been with me through, all the different versions of the Jackie Battenfield studio practice, but I've never thought about making the work to suit them, except if it's a commission. What's a commission, that's a different thing.
Yeah. Well, you said you have a video of your current show walkthrough. Should we try to make that happen? Let me make you the host.
All right. Yeah, this is always scary for me. Okay, so I'm sharing screen, right?
Yeah, for whatever reason, something happens, we'll just come
desktop
back.
One. Hope this is desktop. Allow Zoom. Yes, open. Is this happening? Okay, so I need to go into.
So if you have the thing open already.
Okay, I need to open it up already. Okay.
So when you hit share screen, you'll have your.
Is that it?
Well, if you do,
okie dokie. Yeah. Okay. Come on. I'm sorry. I'm so bad at this. You wouldn't know that I had to teach it at one point. I mean, I had to. All right. So it was. Where did you go to? Ah, there you are. Hi. I'm on this, and now I have to go. I can't.
It should be when you click on the green share screen, you get some,
I
whatever.
know. I
Open.
get, now it wants me to, okay, it wants to. Oh, Robin. Open system preferences.
Oh, no. Uh-oh, we're in system preferences.
I know, this is terrible. Okay, share screen. So what I get is a white thing that says, and whiteboard? No. Quick time? No, 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 no. Okay, forget it. I can't share anything. Oh,
Okay.
files. Let me try that. Files.
If not, I have your website pulled up and we could just look at some of your work.
I guess that's the way to do it because I'm like a klutz at this. It's been a couple of years since I had to do a Zoom class when, you know, I had to learn how to do all this stuff. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
It would have been great though, let me tell you. All right, let me just make sure I actually have your website pulled up. I also have your Instagram if you want to look at that as well. But in the meanwhile, okay, here we go. Share. Okay, so can you see?
Oh, yeah. So click on paintings on Mylar. Oh, actually, there's a couple different things here. I mean, I have this organized in a way. So yeah, we could do, I think might be interesting would be to go under work installed at the top. Yeah. And see what I've done. This is also something that helps my people. There's two sections here. There's work that's been collected by people, and then there's been, you know, commissions. And these are commissioned works. So, and mostly this is what my current work is, which are these, you know, kind of luminous paintings of branches and trees that have all these fractal that are fractals based on the way I paint. So if we go under commissions, you can see the work and the way it looks in various private and public spaces. So this is a subway project I did, which was quite wonderful. You don't get much money for it, but it's really kind of an amazing opportunity. So this was Avenue P on the F line in Brooklyn. And, you know, the New York City Transit has this incredible program of art in the subways, and every subway station eventually will have original art in it. And so I had to do 4 different areas. And I love this picture of it at night because they're so luminous at night. It's so beautiful. And so these are paintings on, they were my paintings, and then they were scanned and turned into film. And then the film was baked between these 2 very heavy pieces of glass because it's the subway system and they do everything extra heavy duty. So these were huge paintings to paint. They ended up, they're, everything is 3 feet. So they're 21 feet long. And there's something kind of, you know, it was kind of, you know, when we think about it, you know, trees, how often do we really look at them? But it, you know, science tells us that, neuroscience tells us that it's creative to look through a tree and imagine the possibilities of the fractals. It is healing for you as a person to have that sort of nature in your life. And I think, you know, having lived in the city so long, I've now really embraced the sort of the life around me, which are these trees, and painting them this way, that I bring the life back. But I don't really worry about, we can scroll down. I don't really try to, you know, I don't try to make the color the way it is in real life. You know, it changes. the color is just, you know, how I felt that day. I play with it. I mean, there's there's a certain naturalness to it. The below this is the mylar that I work on. It's a translucent film. It only comes 42 inches wide. So when I do big pieces like this one, 120 inches long, I have to do it in 3 panels. And then this is that piece installed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Look at
So
you. Aren't you pretty?
Yeah, it's acrylic on Mylar?
It's acrylic on mylar, and it's like can you see me?
Yep.
Right. So it's like I take acrylic paint and I mix two or three pigments together, and some pigments are heavier than others, um and then I paint each thing individually. These are photographs that I've taken, and I project the photograph onto the mylar and then draw the image just as nature has it, exactly as nature has it. I don't edit an image that I'm working on, in spite of the fact that sometimes, one area may not have as many blossoms as another. I just allow it to be what it is. And then so I just like each leaf here is like a different abstraction. Each petal, each petal on a blossom is its own individual abstraction. And I love, just the fact that in nature, no two leaves, I mean, that's mind blowing, will ever be alike, ever. My God, it's like snowflakes. How does that happen? I know none of these will be alike either. And and painting them is a very long process, days and days. I paint on a table because everything's so liquid, and it becomes this intense meditation. When I'm drawing this, I'm surrounded by the image, as it's projected. I mean, I'm just this little person here. I'm not even as tall as this painting, and then I'm painting it leaf by leaf, blossom by blossom. And I don't know, to me, it's extremely soothing and meditative to just kind of witness and appreciate each one that comes along.
So when you're making each leaf, do you set any kind of rules, like you don't go back, or you just give it one chance, or you go back and touch up things, or
you can't go back? I make a puddle, and it does what it does, in spite of the fact that I may not have wanted it to do that. But that's the release. I give up a certain amount of control. I control the photograph. I control the drawing completely. Total Jackie control. But on the painting, I have to allow. We go back and forth, the painting and I, and not, oftentimes, it does things it pools in a way that it's very disappointing. I mean, at the moment, I think I'm very disappointed, but like afterwards, I get used to it.
I'm just going to see what happens when I click forward. Okay, so these are installed.
Yeah, this is another commission. This is a commission where, I had to send commissions with a committee. All you need is one person on, could you do this or could you do that? It's like, it drives you nuts. I had to do a lot of studies for this commission because they wanted a green that was hard to come, that was not my favorite green. But that's with a commission, you learn to give up. Again, you have to say, all right, that's what they want. We can go on. Not one of my favorite commissions.
This is a close-up.
Yeah. I don't like that green. I'm sorry, I still don't. But like Houston, I hope you're happy.
I have a problem.
Yeah, I have a problem with that. Another, this was a nice piece. That's they seized a horizontal image of mine on my website, but they needed a vertical, and so it was really fun changing a composition to allow it to be a vertical. That was kind of fun to do.
So when you're taking the photos, are you like, I just picture you like lying down underneath a lot of trees.
I do. I've lied down on sidewalks. I sit, really, I've gotten the back of my, my shirt completely covered with stuff because I've lied down. I mean, I've lied down in the middle of a road to get an image. Oh, yes, right. But, sometimes I don't have to. Sometimes I'm lying down in the Brooklyn Botanic Garden or at
Yeah.
the New York Botanical Garden. But street trees are great. And
Yeah.
I have thousands of images. It takes a long time to come up with a piece that, it takes a long time to come. I sort through hundreds of images before I find something that I want to paint.
Mm. Ooh, this one
Yeah,
really.
that's a triptych. Yeah, that's three dogwoods, three big panels of dogwoods in this big hallway. Yeah, I'm in a lot of hospitals actually. I mean, that's been a very, when I talk to artists about making a living, you need to have multiple income streams. I don't have a great image of this. I have to often depend upon whoever installed the darn thing to send me an image, and they often send me like, you know, the smallest image in the world. But anyway, different income streams. So having a gallery supplies a certain amount of sales. I do a lot of big commissioned work. That's another income stream. Prints, edition. I mean, you need to think proactively in terms of your life. And teaching was an income stream, so that, and now, thank God, Social Security is an income stream. I can't tell you how happy I was the day I started collecting. It's the first time I received a check every month in 40 years. It was so nice. It's so nice to know it's going to be there. So all those years of paying all that money in really paid off. Keep going.
Yeah. I mean, I so relate to like the not knowing and the constant hustle.
Oh, it's
hustle.
right between we were both, it is rough. Go. Let's see if there's I want to get down further. There's an interesting installation at Langone. Oh, no, that's nice too. This is at Langone. So I ended up with this really interesting project. Catherine Meehan at the Langone Medical Center is NYU's hospital center. And she came to me in my gallery, Kenise Barnes, with this idea for a project. So I did these two big paintings. They are, oh, what are you? You are 40 by 100 inches. Okay, so they're like a little over 8 feet. Natural things. Needed a lot of purple because the head of Langone loves purple. It's, again, one of those things you have to do. But this is in the radiation suite at Langone. Move to the next one. And what they wanted is they also wanted to, some of the work, images were also transferred onto, printed on like a, oh, what's it called? Like wallpaper, but nicer. It's not paper, it's something else. Yeah. And then they're affixed to the ceiling of the radiation room. So the idea is that when somebody's there laying for radiation, and oftentimes they have to lay still for an hour, they have something to look at on the ceiling that's not a blank wall.
Right.
And what an interesting, so sections of a painting were enlarged to 10 feet by 12 feet because that's how big the room is. And I felt such a responsibility on these images, like, oh my God, these poor people, the worst time in their lives, and they're looking at something of mine. And it was scary. It was a very scary project, but this is them installing one of the rooms. And that gives you a sense of the scale of it.
Yeah.
So I hope those, I hope they never, I hope your audience never has to see these
Right.
except on the website.
Right. But I
Really?
mean, it's interesting that this work that you've evolved into doing has so many, I don't know if applications is the right word, but like it can scale up, it can scale down, it can meet, subway need, a hospital need. I mean, that's not everybody's work.
Right. And it wasn't anything, I didn't start doing these thinking, oh, I think they'll work here or they'll work there. I just did them. I make these because I love them. I make them
Yeah.
because I can't wait to finish one to go do the next one.
I mean, is
And I
there
don't,
anything
and the
better?
commit, in spite of the fact that sometimes they like a green I don't like in a commission, the commissions are interesting because they always stretch me in a way that I hadn't thought of. And sometimes it's good. And sometimes it's like,
Right.
I didn't necessarily need that learning experience, but that's okay. That's another one of the rooms. It's a ginkgo.
Yeah, ginkgo. Yeah.
And I had
God,
to figure out how to make it so that all the equipment, wasn't too much in the way of the image.
yeah. Well, I mean, as someone who also has done public projects and worked with communities or worked with non-artist spaces, outside of museums and galleries, for me, that all those things that come up are part of my creative process of like that. So I don't know, I guess that's sort of part of that question of, so things that aren't actually about putting paint on Mylar, do you feel become part of your process? Or it's just like, okay, I can handle it. I can make it work.
I don't think I quite understand the question.
Well, it seems, what I feel like I hear is that you have this deep connection to the trees, to the experience of the visual experience of perceiving light through leaves and the look of leaves on a branch or petals on a branch. That's so compelling. You've been doing it now for how many years?
14 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's compelling.
And I know, and I keep thinking, am I done? I'm not done. I am not done. I'm just always, um, you know, and I'm out there roaming with my camera all the time. It's nice that iPhones have such good cameras. So I don't always have to be carrying my 35 millimeter camera around, which was, and a tripod. But I'm not done with this. I don't know when I'll be done. Maybe someday I'll be done. Since I've started this series, I've not done any works on paper. I used to do a lot of prints. I have not done any prints. I don't have any ideas for it. Everything seems, I don't know. It took me, what did it look? I started this series. I was 59 when I started the series. I'm 73 today. It took me that many years to kind of find this deep home. This is soul. This relates to my childhood, running out into the woods and with a book and sitting under the tree and reading, which I still do. I'm a voracious reader, and looking up through the trees and trying to imagine myself somewhere else. I mean, I spent most of my childhood, at least that's how I feel, doing that. And then one day I was doing a lot of meditation. I went to a 10-day silent meditation retreat, and I'm sitting, and it was spring was turning. Spring was starting, and it was in Massachusetts. So everything was dead, seemingly dead. And there was next to on my cushion, there was a window, and there was this tree outside that window. And during those 10 days of silent meditation, I watched it come to life. And there was something that brought me back to that memory of my childhood. Landscape has always been some sort of element in my work. And I started chasing that. and I started chasing that feeling. And this is where it's all ended up. And I feel so lucky. I feel lucky that I feel so, you as an artist still making work every year. Any artist that manages to kind of hold on to that spark, even if you've taken some time off, you come back to it. The fact is, we're still here. We're still making work, whether we're selling it or not. We still have that part. I don't think, I mean, my mental health depends on this, let me tell you. So, so this is what I do. I'm happy to do it, and I look forward to each day.
Yeah, all right. Well, what else is there to say? Yeah, I mean, well, especially when you just shared that beautiful story, all of it's beautiful, and there's many things we could dig into, but I think about this space that we're looking at and that you described as like people potentially laying on their back at the sort of lowest moment of their life, probably, and
Yeah.
then when you said that, I was like, yeah, I can just totally imagine them having that experience of like being a child and looking up through the trees, and that like letting your mind just take you wherever it wants to go, and there's that invitation is there in that work. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. All right, I'm going to maybe escape from that. Do you want to look at any of the
No, we can look. We don't need to look at the Battenfield website any longer.
No.
Anybody can come and take a look.
Yeah, well, so is there anything else you want to look at? If I look at your Instagram, does that have some of your most recent work that's just been in that if someone's
Yeah,
living in Washington, DC or
sure.
visiting?
Yeah. Look at the so this is this is actually this painting on the left that you just touched, Aria. Yeah, this my work is mounted and framed at a place called Lamont, and this is a photograph of, this is one of the paintings in my show at Addison Ripley. It's 72 by 40, and it's then there's a very happy Jackie Battenfield signing her painting. They're very sweet.
I'm gonna scroll through a little bit.
This was after a studio. This is one of the paintings in the show, and that my husband's painting is behind. His painting to be painted. We share a studio. We have 2 floors in a condo building here, and we have a whole floor. We have a studio floor, and then we have a floor with an apartment. And so it's been really good for us, especially during COVID, when all we had to do is walk downstairs to go to the studio.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that's a whole other conversation around being married, 2 artists being married to each other.
Oh, yeah, right. This is in the show. This is a cherry blossom painting that's in the show. Again, it's 40 inches by 30 inches wide. And it was so much fun. I mean, I realized that I was totally intimidated by cherry blossoms for like the first 10 years I was painting these acrylic paintings. And then one day I just realized I just had to get the blossom so big. I mean, this is probably 3 inches by 2 inches of an actual cherry blossom. I just you just keep going up with it.
Yeah.
That's a detail, and that's kind of nice to show. Kind of gives you a sense of, certainly this is a lot of layers, and also the way I work, pigments, because I put the acrylic paint, it's golden fluid acrylic. It's mixed with so much water. Different pigments have different I don't know, atomic weights, or some are heavy, some are light. And so as it dries, when that branch was painted, it just looked like a dark green branch. And then as it dried and it fractaled and poured and it, colors separate out and you get these very dark areas and these sort of yellow green areas and then these blue green areas. And to me, that's like magic. That's magic. And I can't, I don't know. I know it's going to happen, but I don't know exactly how it's going to happen when I paint it.
I mean, I love that after 14 years, it's still like, I don't know.
Well, and it's still thrilling for me.
Yeah.
I just go, oh my God, it's scary. I can't go back. Once I decide on a color, color is the hardest for me to come up with. I do a lot of studies. Can you, the screen can see me, or is it just only looking at this?
Stop share and
I'll
then
be
we'll
sure.
see you loud.
All right. It's like, you know, I do all these studies, like where I just say, so what is 2 parts of primary magenta, what's 12 parts of phthalo blue red shade plus 12 parts of a yellow, and this is what you get. And I have thousands of these. And I do them in little leaf. This is really interesting. There's a painting in the show right now. So it's kind of like, you can see like it separates out into all this stuff. And when I mix it up, I don't know what it's going to look like until I put it out. Then once I do this, then I can say, all right, this might work in the painting. And then I put it in the painting, and then it does something different.
I was just going to ask that.
I think some butterfly in Brazil flapped its wings and it made some, I mean, it's humidity, time of year, how I felt that day. I don't know. It's kind of like, that's what's magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and this is what they, it's just really, and see how all the red settled on this one. Yeah, so I have to mix that up, and this would be something that would have a red and some sort of probably violet thing happening with it.
Fascinating.
This one settled as green at the bottom, and there's a blue in there. This is an earth pigment. There you go. There's your red oxide. And then there's this is a turquoise, which is a combination of a phthalo blue red shade and a phthalo blue green shade. Anyway, yeah. And that's what happens. And so that's what I play every day. I just play. I just have so much fun.
I just love thinking about you doing this year after year. It's great.
It brings me joy. And I know that, people who collect my work feel the same way. And again, there's always something. My works are really easy to live with over a long.
So Jackie, before we wrap up, is there anything else? Do you have other shows coming up? Is there anything else you want to share?
I have a show coming up in June. 2-person show at Kenise Barnes Fine Art. She used to be up in Westchester. She's relocated, like everybody, the stampede to upstate New York. She's up in Connecticut, near the New York border. And another fabulous partner for me to work with. And I've been working with her for, oh my gosh, I think 12 years. And very happily. And I really appreciate it. I have another gallery in Chicago, which has been wonderful. I had a great show there last year. And so it keeps me busy. It keeps me out of trouble. I also have a granddaughter, and I've been taking care of her 2 days a week since she was born. And that's the other part of joy in my life, along with, So yeah, it's nice. It's nice to feel. It's nice to get that regular check every month. So it's also nice to have the opportunity to make work, and whether it gets shown or not, I would still do it.
Yeah, I mean, if that isn't the definition of a
Yeah.
good life. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Thank you so much for inviting me.
thank you. Thank you so much for everything you've shared. I so appreciate it.
So reread the book when you need help. I do.